I wonder if this question will get you in trouble with your own constituency, but another part of Catholic social teaching, which I think is congruent with your thinking as I'm understanding it, Catholic social teaching doesn't like hyper concentrations of wealth and power.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Look at G.K. Chesterton, who's an intellectual hero of mine. And he proposed back in the early part of the 20th century a system that he called distributism. And he saw it as in between socialism and a pure capitalism. And the idea there was distributing wealth.
Right.
Now, not through the mechanism of the government necessarily, but finding ways to distribute wealth and power throughout the society. And look at his disciples, C.S. Lewis. Tolkien is a good example. You know, that a suspicion of a hyper-technologized capitalism that rapes the environment and all that. And they favored a breaking up. Think of like Saruman in The Lord of the Rings, you know, kind of controlling everything. And that's the tradition that's coming out of Catholic social teaching. So as you said, you've got in your own district some of the greatest hyper-concentration of wealth and power in the history of the human race. So let me ask just provocatively, should there be another Teddy Roosevelt? I mean, to break up these trusts, should we break up Google and Facebook, and why not?
Well, some of them, I think Facebook, we should have because they've concentrated Instagram and WhatsApp that should have been separate and having competition. And I've supported stronger antitrust enforcement on these companies so that they're not able to abuse their platforms, and there are definitely antitrust violations. But I think it's going to require something beyond just antitrust, because let's say you had, and I'm not saying it's we shouldn't consider it, but let's say you had 3 Googles all in Palo Alto, and you then had 2 different Apples, and you had 4 different 3 different Facebooks. And you have the AI revolution in my district. That's not going to do much for people in Youngstown, Ohio, right? And so I think the harder challenge is the internet was supposed to be distributed, and it ended up being concentrating. And how do we now intentionally figure out incentives to distribute the economic opportunity and technology jobs? And that's what I've really been pushing with getting Google to partner with community colleges, historically black colleges, Hispanic institutes, and rural communities. So antitrust, I would say, is one quiver, but not the whole solution.